Hey, beer appreciators. สวัสดีครับ Welcome back to Beer Times Story, the platform where beer and brewing knowledge is shared. For today's session, we will have a good burps about, collaboration brew, an alternative way to enhance your beer topping. That's right. I bet that it's pretty common nowadays, to see collab beers flying around the market. But have you ever, taken a moment to think about it? Like, why do breweries do it? How does it work? And what do they get from working with other people to brew the beer? So this sort of aspect will be explored, through this session with the guidance of our guest speaker, who is with one of the breweries that, to me personally, is leading the charge in terms of harnessing the power of collaboration brews to step up their brewing game in-house. And here's a little bit of his background. So he was a home brewer who took a leap of faith to enter a professional brewing world around 2013. Black Diamond Brewery in Concord, California, was where he cut his teeth in brewing, and he worked his way up to head brewer position. In 2016, he joined a brewery named Ghost Town in Oakland, California, which he has been rocking and rolling there with his team until present day in the brewing department, and his current position is Director of Brewing Operations. So please welcome our guest speaker, Justin Bird.
How's it going?
Hey man, doing good. It's good to see you.
Yeah,
How's it
great
going
to
over
see
there?
you. It's we're here in California on the West Coast, so got a nice little
Mhm.
rainy day today, but you
Oh,
know how it is. It's it doesn't really get much
the
cooler
weather
than
is.
50 degrees, so it's pretty nice.
Mhm. And we are talking in Fahrenheit, right?
Yes, excuse me. Yeah,
Yeah.
Fahrenheit.
Okay.
So yeah, it stays. I mean, every now and then, it depends on where you are, but like here on the coast, it's usually pretty nice. I mean, man, yesterday, last couple days, it's just been sunny, getting those little teasers of summertime already hitting us. But
That's
yeah,
nice.
yeah,
That's nice, right?
yeah, man, no
Okay.
complaints.
Okay. So how are things at the breweries? I heard that you've been running around, fixing things a lot
Yeah,
lately.
yeah, of course. That's kind of what you do at a brewery, right? You get new
Yeah.
stuff, you finally figure out how to make it work, and then it starts breaking on you. You've probably heard me, or I've been pretty public about the brew house that we've been using for the last few years, and it's not the best built system, and the
Mhm.
company that built it went out of business for good reasons because they
Okay.
don't make good stuff. But yeah, either way, it's been these last few weeks, our ladder ton rakes and everything and plows have just been an issue. They're literally just falling off, and we're
Oh my
coming to
God.
find out.
Mhm.
Yeah, I won't name the name. It doesn't even matter since they don't exist anymore. But people are using like brass and things like that in places where chemicals touch, and
Ah,
caustic and some of our cleaning chemicals will
right.
deteriorate
That's
that. And
become the weak point, for the
yeah,
whole stuff.
but
Right. Right.
at
Cool.
the end of the day, though, it's not brewing if you're not always on your toes. It's the
Yeah.
weeks that we don't have anything break or everything goes right, we'll all be sitting down Friday. We try and do light Fridays. We hang out, have some beers together, and
Mhm.
you're just like, oh wait, nobody was
Yeah.
stressed out this week. That's because everything fucking worked. But
Good
normally
news,
it's
guys.
there's one day where nobody even fucking talks to each other because we're all just like,
Oh my God.
but it's okay. We
Well,
got it under control right now, so we're doing okay. Yeah.
that's cool, man. That's cool. And how's Dino doing? Is he still around?
Yeah, man. Yeah, the
The
brew
brewery
dog.
dog.
Yeah, Mr.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Dino. Yeah, no, he's doing great.
yeah.
And actually,
Oh, it's Dino. Okay.
Dino. Oh yeah, yeah. Sorry, Dino. His owner, Austin. He's been with us for 5 years now, and we just recently promoted him to our lead brewer. So he's been,
Cool, man.
yeah, yeah. Austin's great, man. He's been crushing it. But yeah, no, Dino is there every single day. He's our when the stress levels get high, we just pet
Mhm.
Dino, and he just gives us love back, and everybody feels good.
Right, right. It's cool. But
But
Dino is great. That's
Dino,
awesome.
yeah, yeah. Dino's if you ever see pictures of our collaborations, Dino's the dog. That's always in all of them. He's a cutie and he's a sweetheart. We love him.
Cool, cool. All right, man. Just to kick things off before we start, diving down today's topic. First of all, I would like to congratulate you and your team, for those awards you guys, secure in the past year. Like
Thank you.
2014, you guys, got bronze for, the Imperial IPA category for World Beer Cup and GABF with Nose Goblin. That's rad, man.
Yeah.
And the Bistro, right? Double
At
IPA,
the
Double IPA
bistro, yeah.
festival. Yeah. The first place, you won in Double IPA for the Onslaught. Am I getting the name right?
That
The
is
beer name?
that is the yeah, that's the correct name. That was a
Okay.
collaboration beer that we actually did. I'm happy to talk about it in a little bit. But
Yeah.
yeah, no, the bistro is great. I mean, Nose Goblin, it's won 2 gold medals and a bronze at the GABF, a bronze at the World Beer
Yeah.
Cup. And I'll tell you right now, man, we have all our World Beer Cup beers in tanks right now, and
Oh,
man, our new hops right now, like we found the right lots. I'm, it's one of those you always feel good about it, but you never know.
yeah.
For all I know, the cans could get oxidized by the time the judge drinks them and stuff. But we're really enjoying where our beers are going right now, just from all of our selected hops. And man, yeah, super excited.
Cool, man. I wish you guys all the best,
Thank you, dude. Thank you.
Expect-
We're
Yeah.
not making the trip out of Indianapolis today or this year. It's a little too far for
This
us
year,
all
okay.
to go. But we're gonna have a nice little watch party at the brewery, and all of our local buddies that brew probably all
Enjoying,
probably just hang out, have some beers, and you root for each other, right? We root for the Bay Area when it's all said and done, because the better the Bay Area does, the better we all do.
Cool, man. Cool. We just wait. I'm looking forward to see the result, and hopefully I will see you guys' names up there.
Oh yeah, we're hoping, man. Yeah. Well, I appreciate that, dude. Yeah. We'll see. Again, it's a different game. Once it's out on the table, it's a crapshoot, right? You don't you don't know.
It's just you just do your best, brew your best, package the best beer, and then just send it.
Yeah, exactly. And our rules: you celebrate if you win, and you celebrate your friends if you don't win. And don't let it ruin your night or ruin your day. It's important, but at the end of the day, it is just beer. So
cool. Okay. One last thing before to the topic. It's just about the vibe of being ghost town. At the brewery, if our viewer have a chance to visit the place, the first thing that will catch your attention is how cool and I would say dark, but in a good way, how the vibe and the mood and tone of the brewery is set. And that is heavily related to the kind of music that you guys embrace, which is metal or heavy metal one. So I found one photo here. I'm just gonna pull up the screen, and I think it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. So those guys are playing bass at the brew house area, which is great. Quick questions here. It's like, I know that you guys are kind of metalhead folks. If there's any like requirement or pre-requirement for the new hire candidate to to fill out the form and hey, I have this box checked before you can join the crew?
We used to be kind of jerks like that, and we only tried to hire metalheads, but no, I'm totally joking. Not at all. It's I mean, I would say 90% of us just naturally are into metal, and a lot of brewers I know actually like some heavy metal, but no, we got some employees that aren't into it at all, and I get it, man. I mean, it's music is what kind of brought us all together, and then we started doing this, and we didn't want to lose sight of the fact that we all found each other kind of through music, because it's
cool.
like the metal scene's not the biggest scene, and it's not something that a lot of people like to listen to. So when you can sit around with your group of friends and listen to metal for 3 hours, it's great. So that's kind of it's not a requirement, but you got to be able to listen to metal. So that's just what I mean. So there's some people that they listen to metal for 3-4 hours and they get a headache and they get upset. I'm like, well, that's just the reality here. You can still listen to your own music, but definitely. And I will say right now, Austin, our lead brewer, he always starts the days for the brewery, so he sets the tone with the metal. So
that's the welcome music.
Yeah, exactly. But we're again, and it's different because our whole packaging is in another warehouse next door.
Yeah,
and they totally different vibe over there. Not I think maybe one guy over there listens to metal, so you'll go over there and you'll have a Red Hot Chili Peppers playing or something like that, and then
Right,
you come to our
right.
side and it's just straight doom.
That's cool, man. And what are some of the favorite, bands of you and your team?
Well, we all kind of listen. It's funny. It's like you don't realize it, but like metal is a very broad thing. I know to a lot of people it all
Right.
sounds the same, but there's like
Yeah.
slow, doom, speed, yada yada. So we all kind of
Mhm.
listen to a lot of different bands. But if there's, I would say, a couple bands that we all agree on would be, oh, we all
Yeah.
like Slayer, we all like
Okay.
Cannibal Corpse,
Okay.
um, we all like Death.
Okay.
Yeah, but then, there's stuff I listen to that other people aren't really into, vice versa. But we all just whatever, everyone kind of we agree. But
Yeah.
like whenever Slayer, those guys come on, everyone's just feeling it. We're like, yeah,
It's
all right.
banging.
Yeah, we're all aligned right now. It's working out great.
That's cool, man. And I think it's also a cool, kind of working environment. You rock and roll with your brew day, and then you have this music to just, cheer you up at some
Hmm.
point. You know,
Oh yeah, man.
that's
Yeah,
great.
again, it's cool to just stay in your vibe,
Yeah.
it's again, metal is not a well received style of music by a lot of people. What most of my friends
Mhm.
outside of work don't listen to heavy metal, so I don't listen to heavy
Yeah.
metal unless I'm in my car or I'm at work.
Hmm. Hmm. I got you, man. I got you.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's cool. All right. Let's head to the topic. So,
Yeah.
you know, um, since I came across your brewery, Ghost Town, I started to hear a lot of great beer and great brews and great things from the breweries. And one thing that catch my attention is the numbers of collab beers that you guys has been pumping out from the brewery. For instance, last year, from your social media, right? You guys sum up the year in beer collabs, which is this one,
Oh wow.
and yeah, and from my rough math, I think it's roughly about 30 beers that's you guys collab with others. And if I understand this right, these beers are from your side, I mean, being produced at Ghost Town Brewery only, and this discount the beer that you guys collab with others at their house. So um first thing to kick off is that is collab beers like a thing in California?
Oh yeah. I mean, people collab all the time here in California. I think, yeah, I couldn't say for the Midwest or anything like that, but I mean,
Hmm. Hmm.
even just call it
West
the
Coast.
West Coast. Yeah, because
Yeah.
Portland, Washington, or Seattle, everyone loves to collab. And it's something I would say 3, 4 years ago, it wasn't nearly as crazy as it is now. Maybe COVID was kind of something that brought us all together because
Yeah.
you reached a point where you kind of like, hey, we got to help each other out a little bit,
Hmm.
because
Hmm.
the way I look at, a collab, there's a couple things that come out of a collab. First thing, it's it's fun. Like you get together with some of your buddies. I'll travel down to LA, I'll travel up to Portland, and we'll spend
Hmm.
2 days together drinking beers, talking about beers, and making beer together. So there's the fun side to things. But then also with that, it
Right.
also will plan that around kind of like distro drops or releases. So let's say I go down to
Hmm.
LA and do 2 or 3 collabs. Well, we also sell beer in LA. So when we release those collabs, we'll do a big distro drop since our name's kind of already floating around. And it helps. And vice versa. Well, people will do the same thing with us. They'll collab at our spot and they'll plan something around that. But yeah, I mean, I would say like as far as like California collabs go, it's never ending. And you get to a point where you
Hmm.
unfortunately have to start saying no to a few people because you're like, man, I still got to brew Ghost Town beer, and it's
Yeah,
no
yeah,
offense.
yeah.
It's just like, so I already have
Right.
my list for most of our collabs for this year, and then always a few more will pop in
Oh.
there. You know what I mean? I mean,
Hmm.
there's
Hmm.
already a few other breweries I haven't confirmed with yet, but we got a lot of the ones that are up there on that list right there. We always do repeats with. I think I would say half
Right.
of those we redo every year,
Hmm.
and then we'll
Right.
we'll do stuff with other breweries, whatever. But yeah,
Every now
we
and then.
definitely have some fun ones coming up this year.
That's cool, man. And so if I just get back to this picture first, is that
Mhm.
just curious, what is your last year rough, annual production volume? Do you have the number on top of your head?
Yeah, we produced about 14,000 barrels and we
Okay, 14,000.
packaged 14,000. Yeah, so that's a good amount.
Mhm.
And then we
Right.
packaged, yeah, well, that's it. We brewed, basically sent into the fermenter 14,000 barrels. And then we're
All
on
right.
pace. We have new tanks actually coming in about 3 weeks. So they'll
Mm,
put us a little over 15,000 this year. And then next year we should hit about 16,000, assuming we stay at the same current growth pace. And then hopefully
right.
by then we have our new production facility opened as well. So it'll alleviate a
Oh.
little stress and whatnot, because we're still, I'd call us a skeleton crew, and we're working our butts off on stuff that keeps breaking, but manage to make decent beer
Yeah,
somehow.
right. It's far beyond decent. It's far beyond decent. And the
Thank you.
batch size is about 30 barrels.
Yeah, it's an oversized 30-barrel brew house. So we get
Mhm,
every batch we basically collect 42 barrels into the kettle. Because
mhm.
and my whole rule thing is it's all about volume, right? You know what I mean? So I'm not gonna, if I'm gonna fill a fermenter, I'm gonna fill it to the fucking top. So
Yeah.
we have all of our fermenters are 30 barrels, 60 barrel, and 120 barrel fermenters. But they're spaced out larger than that. So we
Yeah.
on average send 37 to 39 barrels into the fermenter, depending on how heavy the hop charge is in the whirlpool. So like our
Mhm.
lagers that aren't hopped as crazy, we get higher volume, and our West Coast IPAs that are hopped really crazy, those will be like 37. But and I calculate our barrelage off of the amount of the volume that goes into fermenters, not the volume that went into our brew house. So
Packaging. Oh, okay. Okay.
or
Gotcha.
if you want to do packaging, we did about 11,000 last year for
Mhm.
packaging.
That's cool. I mean, the reason that I brought these numbers up is that given, give or take 30 brews that you do collabs, that would be close to, I don't know, maybe like my brain is dying. 30. Let's say roughly, maybe like, is it like 20% of your annual production? Can we say that roughly for the
Yeah,
collab beers?
probably. Yeah, I'd say, yeah, we average, let's see. Well, yeah, as for last year, it'd probably be 20%. This
Mhm.
year, that'd be
Okay.
probably closer to 15% or something. Because it'll be, I think we're doing about 7 batches a week. So you'd say, so
Hmm.
roughly let's call it 28
Right.
batches a month. So, they took up
Yeah. Yeah.
a little over a month of brewing throughout the course of the year.
Yeah, and that seems quite a lot in my point of view, and especially you have to brew your own beer too. That's like what you mentioned.
Yeah, exactly.
And I mean, another interesting point is that, those folks that you guys collab with, it's like your beer friends, your brewery friends, or suppliers, or some other, music bands. It's kind of a little broad in terms of the category that you work with.
Oh yeah, and honestly, I love brewing with the hop suppliers. They're some of my favorites because I like having close relationships with them, and the group,
Yeah.
the Vine Breaker, that we do that with
Hmm.
Coleman Farms every year, Coleman
Hmm.
Agriculture,
Hmm.
and they're
Yeah.
actually the closest farm to us in Portland.
Oh,
So like when we
okay.
do 4 fresh hop beers every year, and
Mm,
it's about a 9-hour car ride. So typically somebody
right.
will drive up the night before, get them at 5 in the morning, and drive back, and we brew with them the day of. But we've been really close with them. We always select at least one hop, if not 2 hops of theirs during selection. This year we're using their
Hmm.
Simcoe, and I believe
Hmm.
their Citra. Um, but yeah, those are fun ones to do. The band ones are cool, but they're a little different. The band ones are more just like, I swear to God, every time we do a metal band, there's 2 types of beers they want to make: a black
Okay.
IPA because it's
Black
metal,
IPA.
or a red
Okay.
IPA because it's blood. You know what I mean? And I'm like, hey, dude, it's 2025 or
Yeah.
20. It's not
You
1990. So
you may want to try
yeah.
something else.
But we'll do it. Like we did a collab. I don't know if it's up if the Testament collab was last year or the year before, but that was a black IPA.
Hmm.
We have the
Hmm.
one that we
Hmm.
Numbskull. That's a double red IPA. So we do
About
that.
red IPA. Yeah.
Yeah, and then sometimes we'll do some stuff just for like the music scene or whatever. And that's the
Hmm.
case. It's
Hmm.
just kind of like, hey, I'm just gonna bang out a West Coast IPA for you guys, and we'll slap all of our names on it. And kind of
Yeah.
cross
Yeah.
promote or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. That's cool, man. That's
Nice.
that's that's cool. And so the next point is that let's just talk about your approach, to collaboration brew. Let's say if that's gonna happen in-house, like at Ghost Town Brewery, how do you design the collab batch and how do you come up with who you want to collab with?
For sure. Well, let's say first off, it'll depend on the brewery, because
Hmm.
that'll kind of dictate where we're going to go with the collab. So let's say the way we pick breweries is it's a repeat. It's a good friend of ours.
Hmm.
It's a brewery we've been wanting to collab with for a while, and we become friends. Because a lot of times we have to um, have a personal relationship prior, right? Or we've hung out
Right.
at a beer festival or something like that, and we tried each other's beers, and you're like, "Damn, man, whatever you're doing there is badass." Like, do you think we
Hmm.
can
Hmm.
collab and share some information? And they're like, "Fuck yeah, I like what you do too." So let's say
Hmm.
we'll pick the brewery. So for instance, we just did a collab with Highland Park out of Los Angeles. They
Okay.
make
Okay.
incredible beer. Very excited for it. But like, so we brewed it at
Hmm.
their spot, and they wanted to take on the ghost town approach to a West Coast IPA. So they tried
No.
to use it
Hmm.
as like, so they mimicked, a lot of things that we do. And we spent hours upon hours going back and forth and discussing techniques and whatnot. And that beer
Hmm.
came out so fucking good. It was super dank, super West Coasty. And same thing,
Yeah.
we're
Yeah.
gonna we're gonna host them at our spot, and we're gonna try and take on like a little bit more of their approach to a West Coast. So we
Hmm.
might change up how we do the salts. We might change up the yeast strain. We might change up our dry hop process. A lot of things like that. But honestly, a lot of times when we end up doing the collab at our spot, most people are they're comfortable with. They're like, hey, just take it, and here are the hops we want. This is the profile we're trying to get. Um,
Right.
but yeah, man. So yeah, once you find the brewery, it's either you're kind of just like sharing some hops, or sometimes it's really fun is we'll be like, hey, I have this selected mosaic, and they're like, I have this selected mosaic. I'm like, well, how about
Hmm.
we'll swap the hops? Like, I'll use your mosaic on our
Okay.
batch, you use our mosaic, and then you're like, oh my god, these smell totally different, right? Let's say they got theirs
Hmm.
from Idaho, we get ours from Yakima, and they just
Hmm.
different harvest windows, all that stuff. So that's just you hit that profile, because we have a certain type of mosaic that we like to select, while other people
Hmm.
go a different route with it. So you can share
Right.
ingredients, but ultimately, yeah, man, you find the brewery, whether it's a friend, somebody that inspires you, it's a redo. Like I said earlier, sometimes they're literally just for cross promotion, but you still develop
Hmm.
friendships out of it, or you're working with the hop supplier. So we do that, and then from there, we'll approach the recipe in any type, pretty open book. But I'd say 90% of our collabs are West Coast IPA. So they're
Okay.
honestly nowadays I tend to, unless it's a brewery that's kind of bit hitting a little harder than us, I tend to kind of lead the way because um it's slightly flattering right now, but a lot of people reach out to us on our techniques
Hmm.
and are curious to our approach to West Coast IPA. So, you're kind of, I would say the last probably 50% of the collabs we did, I kind of more educated people. But don't get me wrong, just
Okay.
like working
Right.
with
Right. Right.
Highland Park, I learned some stuff too.
Hmm.
So like, and when
Hmm.
as we started this, like I can name off several breweries that I learned so much from to
Hmm.
get to where we are today. So it's like it's
Right.
an
Right.
honor, and I'd love to be able to share this and help people learn as well. You know what I mean?
Gotcha, man. Gotcha. And you just touched a little bit about the beers that you guys collab most, which is West Coast IPA, right? I mean, that's kind of a segue to my next curiosity is that are there any style of beer that you want to try to brew in a collab manner besides from the hoppy one?
Absolutely. Well, yes. Yeah. Okay. So, for instance, I mean, it's still hoppy, but like we do a collab with Great Notion every year, and we do a hazy
Hmm.
at our spot. And Great Notion's well known for their
Oh
hazies,
yeah.
and we
Hmm.
still make a lot of hazies. But like I would say, I'm a West Coast guy, and that's what my heart's at. So I
Right.
live and die by the West Coast. I mean, 70% of our production is West Coast IPA, which is pretty crazy.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
we make hazies. I think they're good, but I always know they can be better. So right now, like that Great Notion Club, they're helping us take a different approach to hazies. Whether maybe that's what because I don't want them to taste like them either. I want to maybe
Right.
take
Right.
some of
Right.
that information and turn it into that. But like we've also like, we have a sour wild program. We've done some collabs in that
Mm.
end.
Oh yeah.
They're pretty small, typically with local guys. I do want to get a collab going with some of our friends out in Sacramento and like a barrel age project,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
like a 3 year like barreling down and doing a bunch of stuff like that. We've done lager collabs, like we did some
Hmm.
with Humble Sea. They're very well known for their
Okay.
lagers. We did one
Yeah.
with Urban Roots, is also very well known for their lagers. And again, those were
Right.
learning experiences for me, and they were awesome.
That's cool. That's cool. And so if we just step back a little bit to, the design of this collab beers, do you find any difference between doing the collab in-house and away from home?
Absolutely, all day long. You
Okay.
can, because it's one of those. Anybody can share a recipe, but not everybody can replicate a recipe.
Oh
So
yeah.
that's why we really, really get into the process, because I truly think what makes our beers different than everyone else's is just our approach and our process. It's
Hmm.
everyone starts off with the same ingredients. We all got the same barley. Most of us can adjust our water, so we're all in the same realm.
Hmm.
Everybody's kettle's slightly different, so you kind of got to be able to taste other people's beers and know how that's going to be on your brew system, right? Because you're not going to have the same hop
Hmm.
utilization. You're gonna
Yeah.
might One guy might get more color from direct fire, while the other one gets less color from steam, which is a flavor.
Hmm.
So you got to take all that into account. So it's actually nice, when you drinking, or when you're going to do that with somebody, you can taste the beers and kind of see what their approach is, and then you can make recommendations. Um, but yeah, I would say there's been many, many times we've brewed at other people's spots and they tried to mimic what we do to the T, and
Hmm.
it just I even like there's been a couple collabs, I won't name any names, but I brought I
Right.
mean, I
Right.
brought everything. I brought the yeast, they
Okay.
copied our water profile. I donated all of Ghost Town hops. I talked them through
Okay.
the schedule, and we talked
How do you use it?
during
Yeah.
fermentation up to packaging, and then you try the beers
Yeah.
and they're still missing something, right? So
Right.
I couldn't
Right.
tell you what it is. It's probably just a
Uh-huh.
technique that they didn't
That you
follow or
guys use
something
there.
like
Yeah.
that. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, again, though, like, yeah, I like to call it like we're an open book, dude. Like,
Hmm.
I'll share all the information, with a buddy, and in hopes that that at least helps them get better at their West Coast game if that's what their goal is. But to answer your question,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
But again, we all make beers differently, right? You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like
Hmm.
like when I brew a beer, like we're going to be brewing with Ism in a couple weeks down in LA,
Hmm.
and they
Hmm.
make all West Coast IPAs, but we make two different types of West Coast IPAs. But exactly at the same time, like
Yeah.
I'm excited to see their version of it because I still enjoy
Hmm.
what they drink. Like if we all made the exact
Yeah.
same kind of West Coast IPA, it'd be really boring, right?
Yeah. It's gonna be
It's
too bland scene. Yeah.
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 And it goes like kind of right back to that metal thing I was saying. It's like there's metal, but there's all these versions of metal. Like, so there's West Coast, but there's, I mentioned this the other day. It's like, you go down south and
Hmm.
beers are a little bit drier. And we go up north, Portland,
Hmm.
and you're getting into more of like the American IPAs to the West Coast IPA.
Hmm.
They're going to be a little bit
All
maltier,
right.
So
Hmm.
it's kind of, but it's
Hmm.
like we're all making very similar things. We just have our own little touch to it.
Right. Cool. And I also appreciate the reflection in terms of academic side, educational things and your enthusiasms to learn things from other places too. So it's come to the point where I would like you to share, a few things that you kind of pick up, from this past collaborations that, help sharpen Ghost Town beer.
Absolutely. I will say a game changer for me was 3 years ago, and we brewed
Okay.
with Breakside in Portland, and
Okay.
Ben over there in Breakside.
Hmm.
He's a genius, man. I mean, that guy is a wizard, one of the smartest people I know in this industry. But
Hmm.
it was just kind of taking a couple steps back, watching their approach, watching their interactions, even like, I even like when I go to collabs, because I run the brewery and I'm everyone's boss. You you also want to you learn just how things are managed, how people work together, workflows. So to me, there's another level in just how the beer tastes. But like
Hmm.
that was just an experience and a half, and then just hanging out, drinking their beers, just picking his brain. I mean, we mainly talked about hops, hop farms, and things like that. But that was one
Hmm.
I really came back from and learned a lot. Another brewery I learned a lot from was Rip Brewing.
Okay.
I'm actually wearing their shirt right now. Love these guys.
Yeah.
Um, but Ian, who's now the owner of Ism Brewing in Los
Mhm,
Angeles, he used to run Rip. Danny now runs it.
mhm,
Danny's a wonderful. They're both great friends of mine. But when it was Ian and Danny, man, they taught me a lot about West Coast IPAs. You know, they brought me into trying these leaner malts and these other things like that, you know, and thinning out our
mm,
West Coast. Because I'm not gonna lie, 3 years ago, we were 2 row with a touch of crystal malt, you know, still, and like
mhm,
we are still
mhm,
doing fine. But you know,
mhm.
we've obviously adapted to what people like, or you know, we have still have our approach. We do now a blend of 2 row Pilsner and some wheat and stuff like that. But
Right.
you know, those two breweries were serious game changers for me as far as like just sitting back and being in awe, and people I still reach out to with questions, and you know, they're the smart people, and you know, it's just good to have them
Right.
as friends, and that also encouraged me to I want to be that kind of person. I want to be able to somebody can call me and ask me a question, and then you know, I'm honored to help people out with that. You know, it feels good.
Mhm. Yeah. And being able to, connect with your friend or the guys who you look up to and seeing what they use in terms of ingredients is also kind of a um open up an opportunity for you to explore using new things at your brewery too, right? Like the hops a lot that you've mentioned.
Always like for instance, when we brewed with Breakside, they at the time, I don't know if they still really like cashmere, but like I
Hmm,
had only
hmm,
used cashmeres and hazy hops, you know, and they had this beautiful lot of cashmere, which they shared with us. And then when we brewed back at our spot, we used some. Now, don't get me wrong, it's
hmm.
not a hop that I'm probably going to continue to use. I like to go fucking dank and aggressive, like
Right,
cashmere's. You
right,
know, again, like I feel like up in
right.
Portland, they're a little softer and tend to be more
Hmm,
fruit forward, while we tend to just be a little more aggressive.
right.
But that was cool to see that hop used in that way and done
Hmm,
very well, you know.
hmm,
Well, like, yeah, our buddies in San Diego, or Los Angeles, they turned me on to the Columbus Cryo, which is now like, I
mm,
mean, I will give
mm.
Rip props for making Columbus Cryo as big as it is now, because 3 years ago
Okay.
nobody used it, and now it's like there's 50,000 pounds of cryo being made, and everybody's on this Columbus Cryo dank thing, you know.
Right,
To
right,
the
right.
point where it's like now we're going to stop using it because too many people use it. But
Hmm,
they introduced us to that, and it was this whole new realm of dankness that you just like, what
hmm,
the
hmm.
fuck is this, you know? So again, but it was like those things right there just kind of got your mind thinking, you know, like, okay, okay, okay,
Hmm,
let's keep going. And then you also use, you know, collabs are a good excuse to experiment with new hops or whatever, you know, because it'd
hmm,
be like, yeah, this other brewery's name's on it. It might not taste like Ghost Town IPA to you because it has this other hop that we don't normally use, but you know,
hmm.
it's still executed properly and all that. So it's just a fun one to kind of wrap your head around.
Right. And I think it is very interesting to think about. You mentioned, at one point here that your brewery may have this lot of hops and the others may have the other lots of hops, and the performance of each one will play slightly different, and it is kind of cool to just blend them around and see where to put this and the other stuff. And because probably over here or maybe the rest of the world, they might not really have their eyes on the lots of the hops or from which farm that is come from. So I think that is another whole interesting topic.
Oh, yeah. I mean, honestly, this is kind of bummer news. Like on the net, like we fell in love with this. They're called Brew Lot Farms in Yakima,
Hmm, hmm, hmm.
and their mosaic we've been selecting for the last 6 years now. You know, and that's
Oh.
most of our beers that win awards are 90% mosaic. So,
Hmm,
and that mosaic has been killer. And they just announced this week that they're shutting down the farm. You know, and so now I'm just,
right.
and I'm like, and no joke, man, that was my secret weapon for about 2 years. And
Hmm,
then a lot of other breweries, after I did a couple other podcasts and mentioned the name. I mean,
hmm,
there's one brewery local that's very close to us that tries to buy
hmm.
all the same hops that we
Uh-huh,
do, and Brulot is definitely one of them. But
uh-huh.
which is fine, I guess, you know, slightly. But like
Right.
they, you know, I felt like we brought their mosaic onto people's radar because it was just this different,
Hmm.
crazy, bright, stingy, danky mosaic that you're just like,
In a good way, right?
in a beautiful way. Yeah.
in a
Yeah.
beautiful way. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, you know, you smell it and you're just like, I used to always use this reference. It was like that bite of wasabi, and you get that whoo, that little
Okay.
steam right through your face and all that.
That
That's what
nozzle.
this
Yeah.
that's what it does, man. You smell it and you're just like, damn, just like fucking A, dude. Shit reeks. And it stings in
Okay.
a great way, you know.
Cool. Cool. Uh, yeah. And so, are there any kind of unique brewing practice or technique that you can observe from other people that you can share?
Yeah, I mean, you know, you see again, it comes down to just the smaller techniques. We don't normally talk too deep into like fermentation and things like that.
Hmm hmm
But I guess, you know, a couple ones that I would take away from it would be like using extracts at different points in
hmm
the kettle. Another brewery
Okay.
from Portland kind of got me more into like I've always used extracts, but like using them at 5 minutes and 10 minutes. Like we've always just done like a
Mm.
bittering charge, and then we always add extracts to our whirlpool just to get some extra oil. But
Right.
they're like
Right.
replacing more of the T90 than I ever would, you know. So we experimented with
Oh.
that, and you know, I didn't go as far as they did because I still like that. I like some vegetable matter in our IPA, but you
Yeah.
know
Good.
that was definitely a cool one. Like you just saw that, or another brewery up north again. Grains of Wrath. Damn, they make great
Okay.
beers. But like when I brewed with him, he got me out of my comfort zone. Like I used to be
Oh.
too nervous about adding like really really heavy hop loads at the start of boil, you know, because
Okay.
we do tend to dry our beers out very dry, and so if they get too
hmm
bitter, you're going to notice it, right? So you have to have this balance
hmm
of dryness to bitterness to acidity. But when I went
hmm
there and brewed with him, we're on a 30 barrel and he's on a 10 barrel, and he's using more than we are on his 10 barrel, and I was like,
Oh. Oh yeah.
all right, Justin, you just got to fucking let's go for it, you know. And then the next few batches, I take it up, and instantly you're like, oh, it's not, it's like not even perceivable, you know. It's almost like
hmm
it
hmm
makes the beer drink easier, you know. It's not like it tastes more
Oh.
bitter; it makes it taste more crisp. And you're like, all right, cool.
hmm
You really helped me rethink this and stuff, you know, because you get
hmm
stubborn, you find your way, and you once you kind of and you
Yeah.
set your tone. And plus, right now, it's like they're big batches. You know, last thing I want to do is fuck
hmm
up a big batch because that's a lot of money. And you know, we're not
Yeah. Yeah.
if the batch sucks or we have issues, we're gonna dump it. You know, we're not gonna put shitty beer out there and
hmm
you know try and force people to drink it.
Yeah. Um. I mean, that's another point where you can benefit from doing a collab beer is like kind of challenging yourself,
Mhm.
to just step out a little bit from your comfort zone and see where it would take you. And if the result is good, then you probably have more tool for you to play, I
Yeah,
think.
exactly. Yeah. So, but when you see other people do it, yeah, like you just said, we get more comfortable. And then again, there's a new person I can just give a call to and then be like,
Yeah.
hey, why do you do that? And then they'll explain to me the thought process behind it. I'm like, okay,
Mhm.
that absolutely makes sense. Okay, I'm on board. Let's do it.
All right, cool, man. And the next one is that for this year, you say that you have already have your collab plan laid out, mostly like probably like 80% to go. Um, can you name some of the collab that you are exciting to do, if
Exactly.
possible?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, I'm sure we're going to do a lot of repeats like we did last year. You know, like so
hmm
I always like brewing with North Park. Those guys are badass, and when we're in
Yeah.
San Diego, we're always there. I mentioned the Highland Park one already. That one
Yeah.
I'm super excited for. Again, like I said, those guys I think some of the best beer coming out of Southern California.
Yeah.
And they're really good people too, just good people. But yeah, when we were there, man, their beers blew me away. So having them at our spot, something I'm super excited about. We're picking the hops. I mean, it's a simple hop combo, but it's our approach with it and things like that. And
Right.
experiment. We're going
Right.
to experiment with some new flowables and things like that.
Oh, great.
Um, I will be going down to mention also we're doing the one with Ism and then their
hmm
neighbors Ambitious Ales. So we're going to be doing a 3-way collab with them at their
Oh.
spot, and then we're going to rebrew ours in May. It's not like the 3-way we did last year with Fort George, you know, not nearly as big. It's just 3 breweries brewing the same batch with we're just going to use the same ingredients and then take our approach on it. So it's
All
not
right.
too technical, you know, it's just like, hey, an
hmm
IPA with these 3 hops, go for
Right.
it.
Different, yeah, brewery taste. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So those are fun though, because then we can kind of just share them and drink them together. I'm
Yeah.
working on one right now with Garston Hop Farms out of New Zealand. They're really good
Oh,
people. Excited to, or we're hoping to. I'm trying to work it out right now. We were literally just talking about it yesterday. And my goal is to try and get that on the schedule so we can have that beer showcased at the Firestone Invitational.
did you know?
Yeah, but we're really big on New Zealand hops. We haven't honestly ever used their hops, but I've met them before. We've rubbed their hops. Their hops smell great, and they're a small farm, but they're good people.
Right.
So that one definitely excites me. Yeah, and then another really cool one is a Pint House. They're
Pine
based
House.
out of
Okay. Texas.
Texas. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So they make some killer stuff. So we became good friends with them at a beer festival. A lot of times that's kind of how you become buds. You just trying each other's beers, and you're like, yours are good. Oh, yours are good. You're like,
Yeah.
okay, let's fucking make something together and learn. So that's gonna follow up after the Firestone Walker Festival. They're gonna just stay an extra day and then hang out with us and brew. And down the road we'll probably end up at their spot and make some stuff. But those are the only ones that are scheduled as of now, But I got a list of other breweries I still need to have over
Right.
and do stuff.
Try
And
to
we're
make
doing
it
some,
out. Right.
yeah, try and make it out. We're doing some stuff with some local guys too. We always kind of just are buds, nothing too crazy. Most of those usually end up being at their spot and things like that.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And have you ever, collab with, the breweries from the East Coast side?
Not as of now, no.
hmm
Which is fine. I take it, but we did a collab with a Kansas City brewery one time.
Oh, okay.
I'm
Okay.
forgetting their name. I feel bad. Really cool guys. It was all remote. I take it back.
hmm
Her owner and one of her guys went out there for the collab, but I
hmm
couldn't make it. I try not to do too much traveling these days because I got to stay back every time I leave the brewery to do collabs. I still have to whatever that day's worth of work was needed. I still have to do that at another point. You know what I mean? So it's not
Yeah.
like
Yeah. Yeah.
it just
Yeah.
doubles up on my schedule. So this year my goal, honestly, I did so much traveling last year. This year my goal is to fly in a plane only 4 times. And, once a quarter I'll
Okay.
travel. Besides that, we'll keep them here or we'll just keep them remote. But no, we don't do too many things with East Coast. Again, that's probably because we're a West Coast brewery and you don't go to the
hmm
East Coast and drink West Coast like they have out here.
Right.
When you
Right.
do find IPAs out there, they're not stuff I want to drink.
Right. It's just
Well,
in a different realm, right? It just
different
yeah.
realm. Yeah. They're
Yeah.
multi. They're the IPAs that West Coast was making 20 years ago. You know what I mean? So but at the same time, like the hazies out there, much better than
Yeah.
anything
Yeah.
we do. But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, it's a hazy. It's
Just what you want to have. Yeah.
yeah. I like to, but yeah, I would never say no to some good breweries from the East Coast. Once but most of the festivals we do, they're all just basically West Coast people. You know what I mean? So we kind of just keep it to that. But yeah.
Right. So I think we are coming to the end of the session. I'm running out of the question, except for can you just share with us the last thing is that what is collaboration brew in your dictionary? What does it mean to you?
Absolutely. I think I briefly touched this early on. It means multiple things to me. So I think I could say it means three things. The one being probably the most important is to me, it's just about friends getting together, drinking beers, enjoying what we do, taking a step back. Because again, this job can be very hectic at times. It's very stressful.
hmm
Things break, demands are high, stress. There's, even though it's like, you just make beer for a living. I mean, don't get me wrong. My shift brewers, sure, they make beer for a living, and they come into work and they go home and they turn beer off. They don't have to think about it. Me, I'm always on the fucking clock. I'm always thinking about the next thing because I write all the recipes. I write all the procedures. I make sure we are prepared to grow for next year. So that being said, the best part about the collabs to me is just hanging out with your buddies, shooting the shit, telling about your shitty moments, enjoying the good moments, trying some really good fucking beer, bringing you back to, damn, this is why we do it. Second reason is promotion, cross promotion, So like I mentioned earlier, like if we're going to do some big releases up in Portland or down in LA, we'll try and maybe tag a collab onto that, you know? So it's like, oh
Mhm.
yeah, like for instance, I think when we did our North Park collab, you know, some of that went to San Diego. And then when that went to San
Yeah.
Diego and all that stuff, it was bought up along with all of our other beers because your name was just bobbing. Same thing with up north.
Mhm.
Like we've collabed with a lot of breweries in Portland because we're kind of, you know, planting the seed and spreading it around a little bit over
Mhm.
there. So
Mhm.
there's that, you know, but at the same time, those collabs at the end of the day, you ultimately end up just drinking beer together and kind of nerding out. And then the last one,
Mhm.
which I really appreciate, because people did this for us when we first started. There's a couple larger breweries that met us and they just thought we were nice guys, but nobody knew who the fuck we
Mhm.
were. So like, come collab, you know, you can put our brand on your brand and it'll help promote you guys a little bit. We'll help get you recognized.
Oh.
So I think that's also a wonderful thing about some collabs. Like you got some smaller guys that are just getting their feet wet and nobody knows who the fuck they are, but they're making really good beer. So you're like, hey,
Mhm.
come brew at our spot, you know, because we'll release a 100-barrel batch of IPA with your name on it, and you're going to get exposure, right? You know,
Mhm.
so
Yeah.
and again, I like to return that favor whenever I can because people did that for us, and I think that helped us, you know, get to where we are now.
Hey man, that's cool. I mean, amen to that. On positive side that you reflect on this collab beers, and it is just more than dudes having beer together. I mean, in my point of view, just like you guys just raising the tide and just try to just grow together and just lift the industries to the better place that it's supposed to be.
Yeah,
Yeah. Cool, man. I think that's awesome, and this is where we will end the session. So, I mean, hey, Justin, thank you so much for taking your time, sharing with us today, sharing all these wonderful stories. It is well spent, roughly close to an hour. I appreciate it, man.
hey, my pleasure, dude. Yeah, I'm stoked. It's a fun topic to talk about.
Yeah, cool. Hopefully, I will have a chance to just visit your brewery soon in near
I know.
future.
Yeah, it's
Maybe I
been
miss,
almost.
yeah, I miss Ghost Town beer already.
Oh yeah, man. It was almost about a year ago to date when you were in town,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
'Cause, yeah, we were at the
yeah,
spring
yeah,
brews
yeah,
together and all that. Yeah, yeah. That's coming up in
yeah,
like 2
yeah.
weeks.
True. I'm not gonna be there this year, but probably we'll see. If I have a chance, I will let you know.
Absolutely. Hey, if there's one to ever make it out to, try to get to that Firestone Walker Invitational because there is lots of good beer there. Lots of good beer.
All right, that's on the list. That's on the list. Okay, cool, man. I gotta send you first, and then we'll catch up later.
All right, sounds good.
All
Thanks.
right, cool. Thanks. Bye.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. All right, man. To our viewer, I hope you find the moments for good burps throughout this session. Um, the good burp session will be back in no time, so stay tuned. Until next time, cheers and swaddy krab.